What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the check-in. It's your boy D Money. Today we have a dope guest. This person, you know what I'm saying, means a lot to me, man. I grew up with this kid. We got into some stuff early on, you know what I'm saying? If you need somebody who's gonna pull up on you in the clutch, guess what? He's the one. Everybody, welcome, man. Kenny Silva. What's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Everything's good, man. How's my little niece doing, yo?
Good. Really good.
That's what's up, man. So listen, I wanted to kind of give these people an idea of like what you do. So like if you can like briefly just explain what you do for a living, you know what I'm saying, the field you're in right now.
Yeah. So corrections. Most people go off what they see on TV in movies. It's nothing like that. It could be like that sometimes, but for the most part, you just got to make sure everybody's accounted for. Enforce the rules inside the prison. And just make sure you go home safe. Make sure everybody goes home safe. Your brothers, your sisters, But it could get crazy.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that because I got a lot of questions I want to ask you about it because it's like something that like I never thought about jumping into personally, but I was always curious about like, yo, if I was to hold that position, how well would I deal with it? You know what I mean? Because I'm not the biggest guy in the world, so I'm like somebody might look at me crazy and just have their own mindset on like, oh yeah, I ain't gonna worry about him. I'm gonna get my way. Like, and it's like, nah, man, because if I sign up for this, I'm putting 100% in. You feel me? I feel like that. But like, how did you get introduced to the job? What like opened your eyes to actually like going forward with it?
Oh, well, my wife, Tara, girlfriend at the time, her dad was in it, and he was able to provide for his family. And I was like, yo, that's pretty cool. But I still didn't think it was for me. Then I met her brother-in-law, and he's closer to my age, and I was like, oh, he can do it. And then I met her uncle, and I saw what he was doing. I was like, okay, you guys got to tell me more about this stuff. I need to get involved because I would love to be able to provide, start a family, get a house, all that. So I figured if I didn't like it, I can always leave. It's not permanent, but I jumped in, and I'm not saying I love it. No one's going to sit there and say they love corrections, but it does what I needed to do. And so I'm there for the long haul.
Yeah, that's kind of lit. So like, did you like once you actually started the process and you're like, yo, I'm really gonna do this? Did you at all like have any type of like doubts at all? Like, and I'm also wondering too, like, were there any obligations? Did they expect you to do anything that you didn't like see coming?
I mean, just like anything else, it's a new experience. You're nervous, but then again, you think about it, and you're like, I'm going to be, in a closed, area with guys who've committed murders, rape, crazy assault. And so you get intimidated by that stuff, but they give you all the tools you need, and you look around and you know that there's people who are doing this and they're successful at it. They're, like I said, they're getting home to their families. So as long as you know what you're doing and you don't get too complacent, like you don't sit there and go, oh yeah, it's just another day. It's like, no, today could be the day where things are going to pop off and you just got to be ready.
Crazy, ain't it? That's what I probably think about the most. It's like you don't know what could happen, on any day.
Exactly. Yep. But luckily, I have her father, her uncle, and her brother-in-law. So if I had any questions, I could be like, hey, tell me what you would do in this situation. How often does things hit the fan and you have to react? And like they explained it to me. And they said, as long as you do what you're supposed to do and you just keep your head on a swivel and make sure you're not getting too complacent, you're good.
Yeah, I feel it. Yeah, you definitely got to be sharp in there, man. Lots of crazy things.
Absolutely.
Like you can only imagine how many crazy things can go down in the cell. You know what I mean? Like
it's crazy.
But I'm assuming though, like for the people who are gonna like start off, it's like the pay is probably still good as far as like entry level, right? Or is it like overtime?
Absolutely.
Because
overtime's addicting. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying. I'm assuming like overtime is crazy. Like,
it's readily available. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty lit, man. So like, with the money being that good and knowing that you got to be home with the family and everything, like how often do you actually work, and how often would you rather work? How often do you really want to work, opposed to what you are now?
I mean, when I started, it was all about getting that house that I wanted. So I was in there as much as I can. They called me. They say, hey, you want overtime? I was like, yes, please sign me up. Let's do it. But once I got the house, it slowed down. I'm there the minimum 40 hours. But luckily, with corrections, you can do what's called shift swap. So I can be like, oh, hey, Dave, I'm going to work for you tomorrow morning, but I need you to work my Friday night. So now I'm working a double on Thursday, and I'm off on Friday. So you kind of get to, get your own schedule. So right now, I'm only there 3 days a week. If I could, I'll work 24 hours in a row if they let me,
Really?
just to get that extra day off. I'd work 2 days on
Man,
and 5 days off,
I
but
feel
it's
it.
against the rules.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think it would depend for me. It would depend on how my day goes every, shift for me to even consider wanting to be there that long. Like, I don't know. It'd be different for everybody, but it's just not something in my mind. Like, I probably don't want to do that every day, so I probably wouldn't want to be there as much. But
Yeah.
interesting. As far as like dealing with family and then trying to balance out, you know what I'm saying, the stuff that you're dealing with at work and then bringing it home, like how do you balance everything?
As soon as that punch clock, that slip goes into the punch clock and it makes that noise, everything gets left right there. That time clock takes all the stresses of the day, put it away, and I walk out of that place feeling brand new. I get home, I don't even remember what I did yesterday. You know what I'm saying? Like I just leave everything at the door.
Did it take you a while though to like adjust to that type of like, way you do it? Because I
For me, no, for me it didn't. Only because I didn't start off in a real prison per se. I was in a prison setting where there was a lot of patients that were dealing with like drug issues, but the DOC was controlling it. So I didn't have to deal with that violent, like those violent inmates. It was like a watered down version, but it did get physical at times. In fact, one of the craziest moments happened with a patient versus an inmate. Because again, you can't just assume you're going to go into work and it's going to be another day. The day this went off, I think I worked overtime and I was on hour number 14 and I was like, I'm almost done with my day. And little did you know it was going to get crazy.
Yeah, no, I bet, man. Shoot. So how long you actually been working with them now? It's been a little bit, right?
This March, yeah, this March will be 4 years.
4 years. Damn, 4 years already. Hold up, time out. When was the
That's it.
last time I went to go see you? We was at Rose's Kitchen grubbing, and we was talking about work. Man, how long ago was that? That was like 3, 4 years ago.
3 years ago, because I remember after we were done, I was heading right to work.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts. Yeah, I know you was on it. That's why I'm like, yo, this man right now, he's hustling. I know he busy, busy. I was grateful that you even was able to, jump out and chill with me for that moment, man. That was dope.
Oh,
But yeah, so
absolutely.
as
I'd
far
call out
as
to hang out with you.
yo, I appreciate yo. You know how we give it up, man. Like we've been tight forever. You know what I'm saying? When I got a problem, like I was telling everybody, like when I got a problem, when I got something I need to be handled, and I need somebody in the clutch, like yo, you're always the first person to like. Your response time is crazy to me. You know what I mean? And even if we don't figure something out, like you're still there trying to figure it out. Even when I tell you like it's cool, I'm gonna just move on. Like nah, you're like nah. I think I got something. Like I'm like yo, you give me so much hope. It's crazy.
I appreciate that. I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
So as far as like the job, what buildings are you working in? Are you in like minimum security, maximum? Like what is it looking like?
It's medium.
Medium?
It's the largest medium facility in the state. So it's like 1,200 inmates.
1,200. That's still a lot, man. And how many of you guys like are actually on duty like per shift?
It depends on the shift, but I mean, I don't even know how many are on my shift. I want to say it's like 60-ish, maybe a little less than
Yeah.
that. But in the building I'm in, it's one CO per unit. So it's me and 56 inmates. You know what I'm saying? Some cases you might have one CO and 60 plus inmates. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
most part, it's me and 55, 56 guys.
Yeah, that's a lot of people, man, with all kinds of backgrounds. Like, like that's something that would be in my mind. I'm like, I gotta keep my head on a swivel,
Oh,
every angle.
absolutely.
You can't play around with that. Like, have you been in a situation personally, like with an inmate where it's like, there was some tension off of, whether they wanted to follow the rules or whatnot? Like, what was something that stands out to you as far as like a crazy story?
So it wouldn't even be in the prison that I'm in right now. It was dealing with a patient. So when you look at a patient, you're like, oh, he's going, drug withdrawals and stuff like that. Like you don't think that he could be violent. So one
Yeah.
day, fire alarm goes off. Apparently, he was trying to light something up in his cell, and the fire alarm went off. So I responded to the situation. It was me and three other COs and one lieutenant. So if you know the ranking system, it goes CO, sergeant, lieutenant, captain. So lieutenant's there because he's in charge of kind of getting everything in order. So he's standing there having a conversation with the guy. He seemed like he was fine. And they said, you got to cuff up, put some handcuffs on. The guy was like, nah, that's not happening. And I was like, uh-oh, this might get serious. So the four of us stepped forward and we're kind of like getting ready in case something happens. And like a fraction of a second, he takes a step forward towards my lieutenant, and I just reacted. He had his back to me, so I grabbed him from behind. I'm holding on to him. And then once I do that, everyone gets involved. So now at this point, it's the use of force. They're grabbing him. I'm holding on. But this guy is built like Lawrence Maroney, okay? Big dude, 6 feet or whatever, 250 pounds. Oh, my God, got the dreads. So, like, it's basically I'm trying to tackle. Actually, let's say I'm trying to tackle Derrick Henry. Basically, is what it was like for the new kids who don't know who Lawrence Maroney is. So I'm grabbing him from behind, and then everything just happens in an instant. So we're in a hallway. We end up going across the hall through a door, and then I still have him, being held. The momentum of him, me, and 3 other officers hits a wall. Wow. But now the first thing to hit that wall is my back. So just picture, all that weight, all that momentum.
You need to have that armor on, like heavy duty. Like
exactly. Yep. That's back hits. You don't feel it in the moment. Obviously, adrenaline's running. So back hits the wall. I grab a leg, pull the leg down. This other one puts the leg down. He's flailing. A CO goes to swing on him to try to get him to calm down. He misses, hits the CO, woman in the face. She doesn't even feel it. She's still trying to hold him down.
She a big dog. She a big dog.
Let me rewind for a second. So I don't remember the 4th CO, but the rest of us, the other 3, were my size. We're talking 5'6", 160. The other dude was 5'6", maybe 185, and the girl's probably 5'5", 140, soaking wet. You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
And I forget who the other person was, but like we managed to get him down. The guy had his pepper spray. He sprayed him, calmed him down. We put him in handcuffs, and then I'm walking down the hall, and all of a sudden I'm like, oof, I feel something. Like something doesn't feel right. So the nurse comes over, takes a look at me, and she goes, "You should probably go to the hospital." And I was like, that's funny. She's like, no, seriously. I was like, no, it's my back hit the wall. Like, I'm fine. I don't feel anything. The girl CO comes up to me, and she's got some time. And she's got 8-9 years in. And she goes, listen, Kenny, you're going to want to go to the hospital, at least for documentation purposes. Because let's say a week from now, your back is done for. And you go, oh, it happened at work. They're going to be like, when? We'd be like, oh, it was that Sunday night. Yeah, we have no proof, so we can't. Exactly. So I did my paperwork. I typed up everything that happened, gave it to the captain. He signed off on it, and then he goes, "Do you want the package to fill out for injury?" And I was like, "I guess I'll do it." Mm-hmm. So I get off shift 11 p.m. I go to the closest hospital in Plymouth, Beth Israel Hospital, and I get evaluated. And it's funny because I pull out my phone. Of course, I got to let my then girlfriend know what's going on. So I text her, like, "Hey, I'm going to be a little bit late. I'm at the hospital." I'm not thinking, okay? I'm just texting my girlfriend, telling her I'm not coming home because I'm in the hospital. She immediately starts texting, calling, "What's going on? Are you okay? Do you need me to go?" And I was like, oh, wait, I messed up. I probably shouldn't have said it like that. I should have been like, everything is okay. I'm just getting evaluated. Instead, it was, I'm at the hospital. I'm not coming home right now.
Oh, man. Yeah,
full panic mode. The nurses told me, my back, was it? I forget, they said something about my back, whatever. It was like, you should take a week off or like 5 days off. And now me being the guy that's trying to be all macho man, I was like, nah, I work tomorrow, then I got 2 days off, and I'm supposed to be back at work on Thursday for overtime. There's that overtime again.
Yep.
And so she was like, we can write that down like that if you want. And I was like, yeah, please, I'll go back on Thursday. And she was like, if anything changes, let us know, and we'll extend it, whatever. So I wake up Thursday morning, getting ready for overtime, and it feels like I just did a crazy back workout. You know what I'm saying? All those days, it was just sore. Mm-hmm. So I was like, no big deal. So I go into work, chest out, and I'm like, I'm going to work. We're all good. As soon as I punch in and I get to where I got to go, the 2 guys are sitting at this chair, and they both go, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, "I'm here for work." He's like, "After what happened to you on Sunday?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm fine." He goes, "No, you're not fine. What you are is stupid."
Yeah.
And I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "If they're going to give you a week off or 5 days off, take it. Like, who are you to say, nah, I'm going to go to work and earn the money?" And it's like, he told me, he's like, "You have nothing to prove. If the state is going to give you a week off, take it." So ever since then, I was like, if anything ever happens to me, I'll follow what the nurses say. I don't have to prove anything to anybody.
Right.
And I got to make sure my back's okay. You know what I'm saying? And to this day, my back is not the same. Like,
Really?
I was moving like a cement bag, and I was tripping. And like the way I landed, my back was out. I had to call out of work.
Wow.
Another time, I was moving some stuff with my father-in-law. Same thing. Back went out. Had to call. Had to miss work because of my back. So the back's definitely not the same. But I mean, what you can expect. I don't even know how many pounds of force I hit on my back that day, but it definitely hurt me in the long haul.
Yeah, and listen too, like we're not getting any younger, so we have to make sure that our bodies are in shape and doing it. Like, are you
Exactly.
typically like working out on the regular, or like what do you do to maintain?
Every now and then, but nothing crazy.
Yeah,
They don't have any, like, because you go through an academy for 3 months and that tests you physically and everything else and keeps you fit. But they don't have anything for you after that where you have to like maintain it. Like, if they had introduced something like, oh, if you take this physical test and you pass it, here's an extra like $500. If they did something like that, more guys would be more fit. But you can walk into a prison setting and you can look around and you know who has time in. All the fat guys have 10 years in. All the really fat guys got 20 years in because you don't.
wow.
Not a lot of people maintain that. You know what I'm saying? The physical stuff. Like, no one's
I
working
see.
out. They're just going in, working, and going.
Yo, I see what you're saying too, because I remember with one of my cousins when he was locked up, and I would go visit him. You know what I'm saying, and bring all these quarters and stuff. And when we're in that little room, full of everybody, you know what I'm saying, and their peoples, it's like I used to look at these COs and I'm like, yo, y'all are so out of shape. I'm like, how you even get? I'm thinking you got to be in shape to be able to keep up, but it's like, nah. So you explaining it,
No,
I get it. You know what I mean? Like, all right. So they ain't really just on you about working out, and they just
no.
they just require you to just do what they ask, right?
Yeah,
Follow.
and I mean, you do it for you. So if you're in a situation where things are getting crazy, let's say it's the gang fight and there's like 6-on-6, and you have to get in. If you're not physically fit, the DOC is not going to be like, "Oh, we're sorry, we failed you." It's like, "Nah, you failed yourself.
Right.
You should have been able to handle that situation. You know what you signed up for. You get paid for what could possibly go wrong, like worst case scenario. We don't get paid for what we do every day. I babysit. No offense, but that's all I do is I babysit. I get up once an hour. I walk around, make sure no one's hurt, everyone's alive. You know what I'm saying? I supervise, when they're eating to make sure no one's getting seconds, like extra
Yeah.
portions and stuff. But for the most part, that's all I'm doing. I'm just sitting in an office for 16 hours and getting up every now and then. But there's moments where there's a crazy fight in the yard and they say, hey, we need assistance. You know what I'm saying? Depending on where you're working, if that's part of your job description, you gotta get up, lock that door, and book it. And this place is huge. We're not talking I'm running from here to next door. No, I'm running probably like 100 yards, like to
Really?
get to the other side. And by the time I get there, I'm like, and I gotta make sure I grab this guy, put him down. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're doing it for yourself if you're gonna maintain that that physical like
Mhm.
strength and stuff like that. But I work with a guy he's older. I want to say he's like 55. He's set to retire soon, but he works in a unit where he has to run. I work next door to him. I don't have to run, and they're not going to switch us up. You work where you work.
Damn.
There's no, oh no, Kenny's younger, so he's going to run. John's
Yeah.
older, so we're going to need him to sit. No, he's works in that building. That's his job, and he knows it, and he's always ready.
Yeah.
So by the time I get to my door, this dude's halfway to where he needs to be. He doesn't play around. And when he gets there, yeah, he's out of breath, but he's ready to do whatever it takes to make sure that you're safe, he's safe. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
if he needs to get an inmate down and put him in cuffs, he's doing it not because the DOC wants him to. Granted, they do. He's doing it so that he can't hurt that guy or that guy, his brothers and sisters around him. Because at the end of the day, that's what you got to look out for is your brothers and sisters.
No, I feel it. Like, is there any situation where, like, if you see somebody, that you work alongside, and they're in a situation where it seems like they have it handled, do you still feel like do they require you to still step in on that, or do you just let them handle what they're gonna handle?
Well, they don't require it, but anytime you see something like that, you definitely, make sure your presence is known. So
Yeah.
even if you want to get in the line of sight of the guy, so let's say he's standing here talking to a guy, I want to make sure that I'm right there. So when he's looking at my brother, he can
Yeah.
see me in the background, and he's like, "Oh, Silva's over there." So